Hey everybody, Chaplain Todd here. When I was in high school, my girlfriend took a trip with her family to Europe. Yes, I had a girlfriend in high school. She brought me a gift from Switzerland, a beautiful little gold watch, like a pocket watch, but probably was intended for a woman, as it was kind of petite. It was probably meant to be worn around somebody's neck. But on the back of it was engraved an image of a cross, an anchor, and a heart, all kind of interwoven and overlapping. They represented the ideas of faith, hope, and love. The cross, of course, meant faith, the heart, love, but an anchor, hope? What does that mean? I'm not real sure where I began to understand this, but I think it was after reading a description of a nautical maneuver recorded in a novel I read in college. I was a literature major and loved some of the early American writers, many of whom were sailors in their real lives. And this is true, what I'm about to tell you. This would really happen. In the days of sailing ships, it was not uncommon for ships to get stuck in the windless waters on either side of the equator, an area commonly referred to as the doldrums. The absence of wind was so stark that ships could languish for days, even weeks, with no wind to fill their sails and move them toward their destinations. There could be several ships even that were within eyesight of each other, bobbing around in the heat. The sailors would get sick, water and other rations would run low. And if this persisted, the captain of the ship would take action. First, he'd send a sailor up to the crow's nest, the highest part of the ship. And that guy would scan the horizons, looking for ripples on the water, signaling a light breeze. Then they would lower a small anchor into a rowing boat, a tender they call it, and then they would row out in the direction of the suspected breeze, go as far as they could, and then they'd drop that small anchor, which was, of course, tethered to the ship. Now the sailors on board the ship would then begin to pull on that rope and haul in the chains, literally pulling their ship forward toward the wind. They would do this over and over and over again until their sails began to finally flutter and fill. This was hard work. So how does this help us understand hope? Well, generally speaking, hope is, I think, most people think of it as future-oriented, looking out toward the horizon, knowing there has to be a solution to whatever circumstances you may be facing or whatever may be better, whatever you're longing for. I think there's also an element of hope that anchors us to our past, that sustains us. Remembering where we've come from and remembering what we've been through, what we've overcome and endured, or remembering what God has done in and through us. These things help keep our eyes to the horizons. Hope also keeps us from drifting right now, kind of in the present moment. Hope is what keeps us from despairing or giving up. Hope can't be based on fantasies, lies, or simple wishful thinking. No, hope is realistic. It's clear-headed. It's a flame. It never goes completely out. It may dwindle, but it can be fanned back into bright, dancing flames. But perhaps some of you are feeling right now that the issues before us are too much for us to endure. This crazy virus that's making us all a little crazy seems too persistent. Then you think, I don't think I can keep hauling on that rope. We'll never get wind in our sails again. And maybe you think my arms are too tired. I'm losing my grip. And then, on top of that, there is the monumental and deeply rooted racial divide, as well as the political, social, and economic challenges that are growing louder and louder as they compete for our attention. It is truly exhausting. My prayer for all of us is that of the Apostle Paul's in his letter to the church in Rome, recorded for us in the New Testament. Paul says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace." All around us, things must change. I have hope that we can and that we will be able to bring about these needed changes, but I have no illusions that it will be easy. Like pulling our boat toward the wind, it will be hard work. I heard a great quote the other day by James Baldwin. He was a novelist, a poet, an activist who lived in the middle of the last century. He said this, and I quote, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed that isn't faced." For hope to be realized, kept alive, fanned into flames. We have to honestly and humbly face those shadowy things that threaten the attainment of that for which we hope. So together, let's pull on those ropes and chains. Let's get this ship moving. Have a great rest of your weekend, and then until next time, peace.